The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We finally have a name. It is no longer Breath of the Wild 2, but The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. For those of you that don't know, new Nintendo Direct dropped just today, so we're going to be taking a quick peek at that. I'm going to break it down and give kind of my insights on things, so let's just get right into it. So, keeping in mind that it's called Tears of the Kingdom, there are a couple things I'm going to reference the name of, and I'm going to be looking at this a little bit more literally than you might anticipate, so just keep that in mind. We have some kind of deity, and this to me seems, I mean, obviously there's a pretty big war. Notably, it's a lot of moblins and bokoblins fighting what I would assume to be Hylians, but it's pretty hard to tell, honestly. Mostly, you know, you see like the pointed ears here, and then kind of this insignia on the shield leads me to believe Hylians. This also could be some kind of descendant of Hylians as well. More notably, it seems like they're kind of being overrun here. But keep in mind this kind of swirly stuff that they have going on. I looked a little bit into the trailer, and it kind of seems like that might be important, but we'll get onto that in the next scene. Here on the next shot, I've kind of taken a peek at this a little bit, and I've noticed, like I said, I'm going to be taking a kind of more literal look at this. Clearly this is kind of inscribed on a wall or something. It looks like this might be like maybe either a prophecy or like something that is kind of a historical record. You know, these things were, you know, kind of engraved on walls in our culture as well. In human culture, so potentially in Hylian lore that could be the case as well. These objects, I would assume, are the Tears of the Kingdom. Like I said, I'm going to be taking a bit more literal of a look at this, and I think it's interesting. Some characteristics here are very bird-like, which reminds me a lot of the Rito from Wind Waker. Given that we know that a lot of the you know, the islands and stuff are going to be up, that would be the perfect place for the Rito to thrive. Now, they have hands instead of, you know, the wings that the Rito have in their place, but it's an interesting sort of, you know, parallel to that, as well as these designs here, these very swirly designs. Again, we see this before in this sort of swirly kind of art style. It's very Wind Waker-like. Is that reading a little bit too much into it? Probably, but that's what you're here for anyway. So my literal translation of this is that these are the quote-unquote Tears of the Kingdom, that we're going to be getting these at the end of each of the temples in order to, you know, maybe bring the world back together, or potentially, if they decided to, you know, place it actually somewhere on the timeline, this could very well be either prophesizing the flood of Hyrule Kingdom or potentially like a retelling of it, which if that is the case, and for some reason my brain keeps thinking that they mentioned that it's going to be a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, then that kind of blows all this out of the water. Anyway, I'm going to keep going with it. So I have a feeling this has something to do with the Great Flood. Because naturally, when you think about it, Tears of the Kingdom, there was this massive battle beforehand, and they had to do something to save it. You know what I mean? That's kind of my thought on this so far. Continuing on, however, I have no idea what to make of this. I genuinely don't know. So actually, kind of down at the bottom, you can see this red here. So the whole bottom of this seems to be red, which is kind of a parallel to this spot here. So this, you know, the enemy invading forces are red. If I had to wager, this is probably all one large piece. And you can kind of see the red hue down here. Potentially, if you were to back up and look at the whole thing, you would see this deity person kind of up above the battlefield raining down, again, what I would assume to be water. I don't really know what these are supposed to be, these weird things here, but we can clearly see that they're in the clouds somewhere, which again puts them farther up. If you were to think about the image, this here would be the bottom. Then we'd have like this middle part where she's assumedly Zelda. We do have the pointy ears here, but that's really all that kind of indicates that it might be. I mean, she's in a beautiful dress too, you know, intricate and whatnot. So clearly she's a person of importance. Whereas these people are, you know, kind of more abstract and less detailed. And then this would be the top of the image. So moving forward to this portion here, I don't really know what to make of this, because we don't get to see too much of it. However, okay, this looks to be Zelda, and we can see, like, you know, the flowy hair and stuff, and this thing on her forehead, which seems to be paralleled here, as well as kind of the design of this dress looks relatively similar. So I would assume these are the same people. What to make of that? Who's to say? But clearly we can see up here that these elements are the same as these tiers here, or these things that I've called the tiers. And we can see kind of two of them sort of mirroring each other. And there's like a light being brought down upon it. The frame kind of darkens out and you can't really tell. But then we come in here and have a parallel with this door here, actually. So this door here, you can see kind of this circular design and whatnot. And there's this kind of cup here that they're making. And keep in mind this shape, because as soon as we cut this way, it kind of looks like an eye, right? And this kind of circular sort of motif goes on this door as well. So potentially, maybe that's where the door was created. Maybe some people were sealed into something. And, you know, Link in this case is getting out some way. Kind of think like, you know how you start off in Skyloft and Skyward Sword? This could be like the door that leaves the sort of tutorial area maybe and into this vast world. Another thing that I think is kind of interesting is that this shape right here is an eye. It's a little, you know, whenever I think of an eye, I immediately think of Sheikah Tech. Is there Sheikah technology in this game? I'm pretty sure, yeah. But just because of some of the things that we'll see a little bit later and some of the things we've seen in the past, that would be a perfect way to kind of, depending on where it falls in the timeline, of course, if this is a little bit closer to Wind Waker, Sheikah Tech might make less sense, but if it's a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, then Sheikah Tech would make perfect sense. And of course it opens up into this massively expansive area. It's gorgeous. These were actually in, I was talking with the Sheikah Squad guys, and these gates here, they look an awful lot like gates into like a spirit realm in, I think, Japanese culture. So we had made some ideas about that, and that doesn't seem to be the case. But you know, they can't all be right. And again, as I said, this is perfect area for some Rito, you know, to just fly around. This looks awesome. I'm really not sure what to make of this structure up here. It looks like it's not even the highest point. And some stones and stuff up here. We're not really seeing too much, but I noticed this thing on his hip. I don't know what to make of this. You can kind of get a good look at this. I don't know what this is, but it almost looks like maybe a container of some kind, or maybe it's just like the physical representation of where his magic meter might be, if there is a magic meter. Again, if there's Sheikah technology, there's probably not going to be a magic meter. That's kind of the replacement for that. I don't know what to make of these things here. And like looking at the rest of his attire, we can tell he actually has the hero's tunic on, which is very interesting. So that means that he's likely taken up his role as the hero again. Maybe it's a prequel, probably not. Again, my brain says that somewhere along the lines we heard that this was a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild 2. So he's taken back up the mantle of being the hero, and something happened. Now, in a previous trailer, we noticed that there are these kind of like ley line areas where assumedly Ganondorf's evil magic is like pulsing out and kind of exploding and whatnot. Our theory at that point was that maybe that was the catalyst that kind of shoved all of the islands, like fractured the earth and made it so that all the islands were kind of lifting from the surface. And then you'd go through these dungeons, maybe underground, maybe overground, in an attempt to basically piece the planet back together, or the continent. But let us continue. This is interesting. So obviously my eye was immediately drawn to the one thing of color on the screen. And this is an ability that we know about already in, I think there was like a spiky ball that he was making like reverse in time or something. So my thought is maybe this ability here, because, okay, so he's going up. And in my brain, the only way for that to happen is for it to have fallen in the first place, and then, you hit it with, maybe a piece of Sheik Tech or something that makes it reverse X amount of time into the past. And the only reason that I say that is Nintendo is all about things being easy to kind of understand and intuitive to control. And my thought is, how in the world is this going to be intuitive and not, make it so that you have to like pull up, a whole new screen and like a map editor just to, yeah, I want the rock to go here, 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 and here. No, this feels like reverse to me. And even if we go, it's also possible that this might not necessarily be part of what we maybe thought was like Link's ability, but it could very well just be maybe these things just exist in the world, like these things specifically. Obviously the reversing of like the spiky ball in the last trailer is a little bit different. And yeah, we see some gnarly clouds in the back. Not really sure what to make of that. Actually, that could be the source of the storm, because if we look down below, we'll notice that the area is kind of covered in water too. I mean, just this area, obviously. It's not saying like a ton, but if we look down below, first off, we notice it's raining. Just saying that's weird. I mean, it seems like there's actually a decent bit of land. There's a bird around here somewhere. That is a Keese, actually. It's so weird, right? Because we have these moments where we see Link and he's like he's fine. Like this. This is just standard Link. I mean, maybe. Of course, we can't see his right arm, but he does have, his more stereotypical haircut. And we'll also notice he has, like, wooden weapons and stuff. I just noticed this myself. So he's got these wooden weapons, but whenever we switch over to this, like, weird primal Link, he's got a bone weapon. His hair is longer, like, I don't know. It's so weird. He's got just, like, a bone weapon. It's very strange. And then it cuts back, and he lands on this glider thing. Like, okay, first off, awesome. But oh wait, actually, this gives us another piece of the puzzle. Hold on. So this was the image that we were looking at earlier. So it seems to be, this is that the owl person or whatever, and this is who we thought was Princess Zelda doing this arm thing. So yeah, Zelda seems like she's making some sort of deal or pact here for something. But then again, I thought it was the king that flooded the kingdom. So I don't think it has to do with Wind Waker necessarily. But there are some interesting parallels there at least. Also, I'm sure the logo means something. We can see that the Master Sword has been like kind of corrupted and like destroyed and stuff, but then it almost seems like it's been rebuilt with this sort of new-ish or maybe ancient technology. I genuinely don't know. And then we get Tears of the Kingdom, and then we get a release date, which I'm happy about. That's 3 days before my birthday. I'm happy about that. So these are my thoughts on the Nintendo Direct. Let me know what you thought about it down below, and maybe some of your ideas as well. Always interested in hearing those, of course. Thanks so much to my patrons, Twitch supporters, and channel members. I'm Newbornkilik, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out.